right, guys. It is a pleasure today for the treat that I have in store for you guys. I've been looking forward to this one for a minute. All right. So, I want to make sure everybody get your cameras turned on. All right, because I'm gonna welcome Sean up in just a second, but I want to make sure all of our cameras are on. I want to make sure you guys understand that, I want y'all getting in the chat, putting in rocket ships, bombs, fire. Make sure you give him energy, man. He's gonna go as hard as you guys go for him. But I want you guys to understand something, man. This is a friend of mine. He's a mentor. He's a brother, and his name is Sean Crane. But I want to give you guys some backstory about Sean Crane, man. Sean is he's a husband, a father, a brother. He's a life coach, a TEDx speaker, a best-selling author. And he's also the founder and CEO of the Unstoppable #365 MFR, which is an elite self-mastery program for men that helps maximize results in all the areas of their life. He's also the host of Unstoppable Mindset podcast. And guys, he's the real deal. He knows a thing or two about success and how to create a championship mindset. So guys, without further ado, I want to welcome Sean Crane.
What's going on, Bobby? What's going on, everyone? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're
Welcome.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Man, I'm fired up to be here. Grateful to be here, man. Honestly, every day is a gift in my eyes, and I shouldn't have been here. I was this close to not being here. Okay. So I'm just gonna start from the beginning of where I come from and what I went through that really helped me to develop my mindset, my perspective, and it's allowed me to do what I do today. So like Bobby said, I'm a family man. I have a beautiful wife, 3 children who I absolutely adore. They're my world. Every day I get to live a life by design. I get to serve individuals just like you, men in my coaching program, people who I speak to on stage, on social media. It's a life by design, you guys. Like I'm here at the Santa Barbara Athletic Club. This is basically my office. I chill here, put out positive messages, work out, drink smoothies, do the cold plunge. Like I just got out of the sauna and the cold plunge for an hour, right? Like every day is personal development, every day is growth. But it took me a long time to get here. So when I say like it's a life by design, I'm kicking back here at the athletic club, like I earned this. And what I want you guys to know, whatever success you want in life, whether it's with your family or in your bank account, like you got to earn it, right? And each day counts. They all count. You can't let a day pass you by that you don't give maximal effort because that's something you're never going to get back. And I know what it feels like to look back on years of my life, wishing I could have them back, wishing I had a second chance, wishing I could have done things differently. Growing up, I grew up in a beautiful beach community of Santa Barbara, California. I don't know how many of you are in Cali, right? I know some of you are down in San Diego with Mike. I grew up, up the coast, Santa Barbara, surfing, skateboarding, playing sports. As a kid, like life was beautiful. But then at the age of 14, I started realizing, well, before that, at age 10, I started realizing that my mom and dad were different than like the other kids' parents or my aunts and uncles. And when I say different, I mean they're battling addiction. So they were drinking, they were doing drugs. And so as I started to get older, I started to be aware of this stuff. And things were happening at home. There was conflict between them. The cops were coming. There was fights. And then at the age of 14, my dad got into like basically a standoff with the cops. He had a pistol and he didn't get killed, thankfully, but I thought he was going to die right in front of me. Seeing my dad, with a gun and the cops drawing their weapons on him. And he ended up going to state prison. And then shortly after that, I lost my mom to the streets and her drug habit. She disappeared. She found a new boyfriend. She stopped coming home. So literally in the blink of an eye, I lost both parents. And at this time I was 14 and I was a freshman in high school. And I was trying to figure out who I was as a person. I was trying to find my way, and now I lost both my parents. And I didn't know what to do at that age. I didn't know how to cope with that emotional distress, that trauma. And what I realized is that when I'd smoke some weed or drink, I forgot about my problems. And I could kind of numb and check out, right? I could numb myself. So now through high school, instead of becoming the star athlete and this person that I wanted to be, the person that I always felt that I was born to be, I went down the other path. The path of, bad choices, the path of the wrong influences, the wrong people. I stopped going to school. I started getting more hooked and dependent on drugs and alcohol. I started getting in trouble. And so from 14 all the way to 24, I didn't do anything I was proud of in my life. I didn't try in school. I didn't apply myself to anything that I was proud of. I was just like a leaf blowing in the breeze, right? I was just drifting through life. And here and there was moments and glimpses of my potential. Okay, and I can reflect on those moments. And I knew in my heart that I was made for more, that that wasn't the person that I was supposed to be. But I just felt stuck. I didn't know how to break free of those patterns. And then God intervened in my life. Whether you believe in God or the universe, I believe that something's guiding me. There's something powerful here taking place beyond my control. I didn't believe that when I was younger. I used to mock the concept of God and like these universal principles that guide us, but they're real, you guys. And when you learn to live in alignment with the way things are intended for you, the impossible in your life becomes possible and miracles will manifest. I'm living proof of that. Right. So what happened with me is I was at a party when I was 23, a college party. All these kids, young people were drinking, having fun. And then there was this big fight that broke out. And I was too close to the fight. I was right there watching. I wasn't intending to be involved, but I was watching. And then I ended up getting attacked and jumped in the midst of that melee. And so I'm defending myself, wrestling around this guy. Turns out that guy got stabbed and almost died. And his friend got stabbed. And everyone at the party saw me wrestling with this guy. No one saw the initial attack. I didn't even see what happened. Everyone was drunk. It was one of those college parties. All I know is the next day I was charged with attempted murder. The cops came with AR-15s, put me on the ground in the street, and they arrested me and took me to county jail. So here I am at 23 years old facing life in prison for a crime I didn't commit. And I remember, man, just sitting in that cell thinking that my life was over. And this is one of those things that you can't even fathom would happen to you. Like we've seen the movies, we've read the books, we see the newspaper clippings, but you never think it could be you in that jail cell. And now I was. And I remember the first day I went to court, no one was really talking to me. They were just taking pictures and everyone's like whispering, looking over at me. The news press was there. They were taking my picture. They put it on the front page of the Santa Barbara newspaper, Sean Crane charged with attempted murder, my mugshot. And then this woman walked over to me and it was my lawyer. And I was all hopeful. I thought, okay, she's going to give me good news, mistaken identity. Oh, they know you didn't do it. But in fact, she didn't say any of that. The only thing she said was the judge and the DA want to change your charges to homicide. They don't think the victim's going to make it. He's in a coma and they want to amend your charges. And that was it. That was all that she said to me that day. And so then they took me back to my holding cell. And so for the next couple of days, I was just trying to make sense of what was taking place in my life. And this is where things really started to change. Because prior to that point, I was in denial and I was just going through the motions in life. And I never had that sobering moment where I really had to like take responsibility for who I'd become and what I was doing in my life. And I was thinking about, the fact that I was never going to get out. I was thinking the worst case scenario. And in the midst of that, I started thinking about all the things I didn't do in my life. I started thinking about all the days I had wasted, all the promises I made that I never kept, all the moments I took for granted, all the excuses I made, all the things that I didn't do. You guys, you don't understand how precious this journey is. You don't understand how precious every hug from a loved one is, every opportunity you get, just every day that you wake up and you're alive. Like I overlooked it all and I took it all for granted. And sitting there in that cell thinking that my life was over, it just started to eat me alive. And the regret that I felt in that moment was the most pain that I've ever experienced in my life. Because I knew in my heart that I was made for more. I knew that I could have done something great with my life. Maybe I didn't know what it was, but I never had tried. I never gave maximal effort. And here I was going to be in prison for the rest of my life. So I'd never know. And it was that feeling right there, man. It changed me forever. I really feel like in that moment, I died and came back to life. That I understood what was at stake. I understood what so many of us fail to recognize as we go through our lives. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, next week I'll get to it. Right? Like we put things off. Like a lot of you guys, I know you have that feeling inside of you, like I had, this person you want to be, these changes you want to make, but you keep putting them off for a future day, or you're not really giving all your effort. You're kind of like giving some effort, but just enough to say you're doing it. But are you really all in? There's a big difference, and like the way you treat people, the way that you show up in people's lives, the way you show up for yourself. Like, I want you to really think about, am I giving everything that I have to give? If I found myself in that jail cell like Sean did tomorrow, or some of you might go to the doctor next week and find out, hey man, you got like some lump in your throat, or like they do a CAT scan, you got something in your brain. Oh, you got cancer, you got a tumor in your brain. Hey, I'm sorry, Timmy. I'm sorry, John. Man, you only got 6 months to live. You only got, 6 weeks to live. This thing is spread throughout your body. If you found yourself in that situation right now, what are the parts of your life that you'd regret the most? What are the changes you keep saying you're going to make that you're not making? What are the goals that you have that you're procrastinating on? Like what are the things that you would regret the most? You got to use that as fuel because that's what's at stake for all of you. And it's not just about you though. What about the people in your lives? What about the people that depend on you? Right? Do you have kids? Do you have family members? Do you have brothers, sisters, team members? What about the people that look to you as an example? Right? Because oftentimes, you guys, it's not just about us. But when we play small and hold back in life, everyone else around us, they're affected as well. So you have to understand that. So when I had this realization in myself, I made a promise to myself in that moment. And this was like a commitment to the core of my being. This wasn't just some like half-ass promise, like, oh man, I want to be a better guy. Like, no, that pain was so devastating. It was just ripping me up inside, right? I made a promise to myself that no matter what happens from that moment forward, I was never going to hold back again. I was never going to worry about what other people thought. I was never going to let fear and doubt dictate the way I made decisions, the way I showed up in my life. I was going to be all in every single moment for the rest of my life because I hated the way that I felt. I hated it. And so I started to, think about what I could do to better myself in that cell. Mind you, I'm in a 6x8 cell at this time. Like I'm in a small little bathroom, living there with another person. And so I wanted to change. I wanted to improve. I wanted to do whatever I could to better myself. Didn't matter if I was going to get out next week, next year, or if they were going to send me to prison for 30 years. This was my mindset. It was all survival. It was pure survival. But what was happening is I was waking up in the morning and I was still thinking about the past. I was thinking about all the things I didn't do. I was overcome with regret, with remorse, and that was leading me to feel depressed. Like if you guys have ever battled depression, this was just magnified so greatly because of my circumstances. And so if I wasn't dwelling on the past, I'd start to worry about the future. And I couldn't control these thoughts. They would start racing. I would worry about how I was going to be in prison the rest of my life, how I'd never see my family, how I'd never get to start a family of my own. And it was just pure anxiety and just stress and overwhelm. And I tell you, man, all I wanted to do was go lie on my little bunk, pull the sheets over my head, and just hide from the world and try to pretend it wasn't real. And that's when I realized the most imminent threat to my survival, it wasn't the life sentence. It wasn't the other inmates. It wasn't the guards. It wasn't my living circumstances. It was my own mental state and the way that I was talking to myself. And this is the biggest challenge that I see people out here facing right now. It's their own self-talk. Okay. How often do you guys talk negatively to yourself about your life? How often do you wake up and you're still angry about something that happened yesterday, something outside of your control that you can't change, and you're still dwelling on it? You're ruminating on it. You're angry, you're upset, you're resentful, or you have a long day ahead of you. Maybe you have to drive and travel. Maybe you have a bunch of work calls and you're just not feeling it. You have a bunch of stuff to do. And immediately you start projecting into the future. Oh, today's going to be a long day. How often do people say that? Oh, today's going to be a long one, right? Or it's like Monday and people are all angry that they have to go back to work. They just want to get to Friday, right? They're like, oh man, it's Monday again. Or people always say, oh, hump day. Oh, it's hump day. Like you're talking to your life negatively, right? Here's the thing. The worst thing that you can do is talk negatively to yourself about your own life. Because when you have those negative thoughts, they manifest in a negative emotion, right? It lowers your frequency. Your emotional state is not optimal. And then how are you showing up in work? How are you showing up talking to your family? How are you showing up in your life? It's going to affect the way that you behave. It's going to affect your daily actions. So this is where the battle is won or lost every single day. Okay. And oftentimes it is not your life circumstances, but the way you talk to yourself about what you're going through that is most impactful. And that's what I started to learn when I was in that cell because I had all this time to just think and reflect and analyze myself. And so what I started doing is I started changing the way I was talking to myself about my circumstances. And I remember, man, this just happened one day, but I thought to myself, Sean, what if this experience isn't a bad experience? Like, what if you needed to come to jail to get sober? What if you never would have got sober? What if you would have died if you didn't come to jail? Right? What if you needed to come to jail to get away from those toxic relationships and that environment that was just keeping you stuck in life? Like, what if? What if this is a blessing in disguise? And you can't see it right now, but God has a plan for you. And so what I started doing was I was taking my expectations, instead of having negative expectations about my life, I started to reframe my thinking and have positive expectations or even positive potential. I didn't know if those things were true or not, but rather than focus on all the negatives that could come out of my situation, what if there was positives that could come out of my situation? And this gave me the biggest advantage I've ever had in my life, because that allowed me to leverage what others would perceive as the worst circumstances ever into an opportunity to get sober, an opportunity to get away from those toxic relationships and really find my true self and really get to live as that person, right? An opportunity, man, to find a depth, like a spiritual depth and belief and faith within myself that I never had before. And so I would urge all of you to start going through your day and always look for the positive potential in any set of circumstances. What I found is even the most difficult and challenging of circumstances will give you the greatest learning lesson if you look for it. Or you could fail to look for it and act like a victim and focus on the negative, but that's not going to serve you, right? So, for instance, let's say in business, you guys are doing sales calls and you go 0 for 6. You got the one guy who's going to get all mad at himself. Oh, I went 0 for 6. I didn't close anything today. He's going to have all these negative feelings. How's he going to show up at home for his wife and kids later or on his next sales call? Versus the guy that goes, man, I went 0 for 6, but like, I know I can learn something from those calls. I know I'm not doing something. And if I do this one thing, I'm going to get better. I need to learn this skill. I need to learn this track. I need to learn how to improve this one thing. And the guy that starts thinking like that, he's going to find things that he can do to improve. And that's the difference between feeling discouraged, like a victim or hopeless, and then someone who's still empowered to make a change, someone who's still in control of their situation. And so that's what I started doing. I started learning how to control the narrative up here so that I could control how I felt. And guess what? When I started thinking this way, I'd wake up in the morning, and although my circumstances were still what they were, I didn't feel as bad. You know what it did is it gave me just a little thread of hope. Whereas before I felt hopeless, now I felt that somehow, some way, maybe things could get better. And so I remember shortly after that, I'm stuck in this cell 24 hours a day, 6 by 8 cell, 24 hours a day. I'm going nowhere. I go to court every once in a while. I'm hearing the same thing. They're sending me to prison for a long time. I know what's happening. And I just started ignoring that. I stopped worrying about the judge, the DA, the cops, all the people telling on me. My best friend from kindergarten told on me for something I didn't do. He was so scared because he was charged with accessory. He said maybe Sean was involved. I don't know. I didn't see it. He could have got me off the hook, but he was so scared because he was in the military at that time and he didn't want to get a dishonorable discharge that he just sided with the DA. So I have all these people working against me. Everyone told on me. No one was there to support me. I just stopped caring about that because I couldn't control that. All I could control were my own thoughts and my daily actions. And you guys, so many people live their lives focusing on things outside of their control. Okay. Stuff on social media, things that happened yesterday, things that might happen tomorrow. You have no control over that, but you do have control over how you show up right now and your daily actions. And so I'll never forget, man, I got up one day and I'm in this little cell. And I'm like, what can I do to better myself today? Like, that was my thought. I'm facing life in prison. I'm like, what can I do to better myself today? Right. I had like a couple random pieces of writing paper, some books that they would give us. And so that day, man, and like going forward, what I started doing was I'd clean my cell, keep it really nice and organized because that was my space. And jail's a filthy place. You have no privacy. It smells. I just wanted my cell to be clean. Right. So I'd clean my cell. I would work out and then I would read and write. Every single day I started doing those things. Every single day my feet would hit that cold cement floor and I'd ask myself, what can I do to better myself today? I wasn't focused, like I said, on all the stuff outside of my control, just what was within my control. And I started doing those things every single day. But here's the thing. When I was working out, I would tell myself, man, I am so blessed right now. I get to work out. I have arms and legs that work. Like, some people don't even have the use of their body. I'm so blessed. I get to work out today. Right. And then when I'd be writing letters back home, I'd tell myself, I'm so blessed that people care about me, that I have support from my family members. Like, they were the only people that didn't turn their back on me. Right. And I'd tell myself, I get to write these letters. Or I'd be reading a book, some random book. I tell myself, I get to read this book. Like, I have eyes, like I can understand what I'm reading. I get to, imagine this story in my head. I get to write those 3 words down right now, or remember them. Because I'm telling you, these 3 words are going to become like a superpower that can change your state instantly. I use this to this day. You know how many days I wake up and my body's tired? It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to the gym, right? Listen to what I'm saying. I got to go to the gym. Oh, I got to go do coaching calls. I got to take care of my kids. How many of you get in the habit of saying, I have to? I have to do this, right? We all do, right? We almost do it when we don't unconsciously. We don't even realize, oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I have to work late. Oh, I have to sit in traffic to get to my job. Oh, I have to go pick up my kid later in the day. Oh, I have, like, first of all, you don't have to do anything. You don't. It's a choice. It's a choice. And when you talk to yourself that way about your life, you're going to put yourself, in a negative state. You're looking at your life through a negative lens, right? And let me tell you this, if those things were taken from you, your job, your ability to provide and grow in your business, your family members, even sitting in traffic, even the things that no one wants to do, if those things were taken from you and you're in that cell where I was, you would be giving anything to be back in your own shoes right now. You would give anything. You'd be doing what I was doing. God, please give me a second chance. Please, God, I didn't know what I was doing. God, please, I didn't mean to take my life for granted. Please give me one more chance. That would be you. So when you're going through your day, if you find yourself doing this, it's habitual. We all do it. You can instantly shift how you're feeling and how you're thinking by reminding yourself, I get to go to the gym and work out. I get to take care of my body. I get to go to work and earn money and learn new skills and provide. I get to. I get to change diapers in the middle of the night. I got my beautiful children. I want to show them the dream life. I want to give them everything. I get to. Right there, instantaneously, you'll go from a place of lacking and like negative energy to a place of gratitude and feeling happy for your life and what you have. So I started training my mind to see the good in everything while I was incarcerated. And this built massive momentum during that 8 months that I was in the county jail. So by the time they sentenced me to prison, which I actually had to take a plea deal for 7 years in prison. It was either that or go to trial and face life. I chose to take a plea deal and admit guilt for something I didn't do. Because of the changes I was going through in that time in the county jail, I truly believe that I could leverage my time in prison to become the most productive and positive years of my life. And I just felt that if I could overcome that challenge, when I overcome this challenge, I'll be able to do anything I want in my life. And I truly felt that in my heart. So when I got to prison, I continued to focus on my personal development and growth each and every day. And I continued to just build upon those small daily habits I was forming: exercise, reading, and writing. That was all I could do, but I just continued to do that stuff each and every day. And I was feeling my mind get sharper, my speed of thought, my memory, everything. I was having more clarity. I was sober, all this focus, all this energy, and my physique, my health, I was improving that. So what was happening was I was proud of who I was for the first time in my life. Every day I was doing more in jail than I was before on the streets, right? I was taking care of my health. I was developing my mindset. I was building discipline. And there's an interesting statistic, you guys. 85% of people lack self-esteem, lack confidence. Why do you think that is? 85. So if there's 100 of you on this call, that means 85 of you don't really have confidence in who you are. That's a really astounding statistic. Now, what I know is confidence is like a superpower. And when you believe in yourself, you can achieve anything, and you're willing to put yourself out there to go after bigger goals. You're not going to settle. But when you don't believe in yourself and you start feeling discouraged, you have that, voice in the back of your head, you're not going to show up in life the way you really want it. And so I started building the most profound form of confidence and belief in myself during that time, because I was just showing up each and every day doing things that made me feel proud of who I was. It didn't matter that I was in jail. It didn't matter that I was facing life in prison. Every day I was attacking what was in front of me, and I was giving my best effort to those endeavors. Now, here's the thing. You guys all want to be successful. That's why you're here with Mike, right? You guys want to have the nice things. You want to have the financial freedom. You want to have the goals, or you want to achieve the goals. You want to have the results. Now, how do you create your best life? You become your best self over time, right? You materialize those things. Well, most of you and most people in general want to create that life, not necessarily for the watch, the cars, the money, right? We like that stuff. Those shiny objects attract us, but you're really after the feeling that having that life's going to give you. The feeling of, man, I'm good enough. I did it, right? Pride, confidence, self-love, gratitude, inner peace. That's what we're all after in life. We all want to get to a point where we know, damn, I'm enough. I'm good. I did it. Look what I created. It's a feeling. It's an internal thing, right? The stuff that's external, that doesn't do it. It's the journey to get there. It's the person that you become. So what I learned through this experience was that, I don't have to have those things to feel the way I want. In fact, I was going to bed in jail, facing life in prison at peace, fully in love with my life for the first time in 23 years. I couldn't believe when I was going to sleep that I was feeling this way. It revolutionized my entire life because I thought I needed to achieve things to be someone to feel that way. And I was going to sleep at night just feeling proud of who I was because I was taking as much action every day to become my best self. And I wasn't getting in my own way. I wasn't sabotaging myself. I was living in complete alignment with the vision that I had of who I wanted to be. And so what I learned is that in order to create those feelings that we're all after, you just have to identify who is that person that I want to be. And then each and every day is an opportunity to live in alignment to that person through your thoughts and actions. And as long as you give your best effort today to everything that you do, you can go to sleep tonight feeling damn proud of your life and how you showed up. And it's that internal state and that emotional state, right, that is going to completely change your life like it did for me. Your best life is not in a future date, okay? Results improve over time as you keep showing up. But your best life can be created right now by you showing up as your best self. And you guys can all experience peace, love, joy, gratitude, motivation, inspiration through the roof every single day if you just dedicate yourself to that process. So when I was in prison, I became very disciplined, consistent. I never missed a day in anything. I'd wake up early and work out. Oftentimes, I'd have a day room of guys sleeping before chow, and I'd be in the corner doing push-ups and squats. I would do 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 squats before the sun came up, before we got to eat breakfast. I was that focused and determined. And when I got to prison, I found out they had college courses, so I enrolled in those. And I ended up getting multiple associate's degrees during that time. They gave me 6 months off my sentence because of that. So here I am in my little cell. I'm literally writing essays in my cell every day, right? Taking all the courses, just doing burpees nonstop. I was just immersed in personal development, reading every book you've ever heard of by Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki, John Maxwell. I was getting them all sent in. I was just devouring this information. I had 5 years of personal development and personal growth, and prison was the greatest school that I could ever go to learn how to be successful in life because it forced my hand. So many people out here just don't want to commit themselves to the process. They're not consistent. They don't have discipline. They don't want it bad enough. Therefore, they never get there. I wanted it as bad as I want to breathe this air right now. And I had to show up every single day and prove that to myself for over 2,000 days. So when I got home, when I finally got out, I knew what I was made of. Nobody could take that from me. Nobody could show up and try to tell me who I was. I had just proved it for 2007 days in the most devastating environment you could ever imagine, right? You're missing your family. You're depressed. You're hungry. You're lonely. Imagine not hugging someone for 5 years. Imagine not being able to kiss a loved one or like spend time with a loved one for 5 years. Like I had to feel that all, right? I had to feel that emotion. I had to feel that loss. And it made me hungry. It made me insatiable. And the coolest thing that happened was after about 4 years, the other guys started noticing the changes in me and they were observing me. I was standoffish for a while because I was so focused on my growth. I just wanted to keep everyone at arm's distance because you can imagine what happens in those places. And so after about 4 years, I had these youngsters that would approach me and they'd be like, man, Sean, we see how disciplined you are. You're like working out every day. You seem all happy. You're like motivated. What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? Like, do you have something planned for when you get out? Like these guys were just so stuck in that lifestyle. And so I started showing a lot of these individuals what I was doing as far as my daily routines, what books I was reading. They'd work out with me because they wanted to get in shape. And I even got some of them to enroll in college courses like I was. And then over time, I started seeing these guys start to act differently. And they started to talk about their life after prison differently. They had a little bit of hope, right? Their perspective was being altered. Their mindset was being shifted. And so that's when I realized in that moment, man, this is what I'm here to do. Like, I love working with people. I love seeing others make the changes I've made. I love giving back. I want to share. I want to help people. And that's when I knew definitively my purpose on this earth is to serve and inspire others to make the same changes I was able to make. Now, here's the thing. People always ask, how do you find your purpose? What's my purpose? How do you listen to what I'm saying? How do you find your purpose? You got to get your ass up and take action and go find it. You're not going to sit around and just suddenly your purpose is going to come to you. It happens over time by taking action. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is they just wait. and they wait for this answer and they wait for this moment. And what I know is that you're never going to think your way into the solution, right? You have to act your way into the solution. People that just sit around and wait and wait and wait, they don't go anywhere. And it was just because I was so focused on my personal development every day, taking massive action. I didn't think about what my purpose was. I just wanted to do things every day that made me feel proud of who I was. I wanted to do things every day that helped me to combat negative emotions, depression, anxiety. Like I just wanted to feel okay in the moment. And so what I was doing is I was learning how to feel good in the moment. My daily actions would lead to the internal state, the emotional state that I wanted, just so I can get through the day, you guys. My goal every day was just to be able to get through the day without hanging myself, without wanting to use drugs and alcohol, without getting into a fight. And so over time, I developed massive, tools and resources that help me to not just like feel okay, but then to skyrocket to a whole nother level. Like in prison, I just felt like I was high on life all the time. And I would trip out. I'd be like, how is this possible? Like, how am I feeling this in here? This shouldn't even be allowed. Like, I shouldn't be allowed to feel this good in prison. And so I learned that like these things that we do every day habitually, it's not so that we can go to the gym and flex in the mirror. It's not so that you can like show someone your bank account on your phone or your TikTok reel that just got 1 million views. Like, fuck that. It's so how you feel internally, the energy that you cultivate, that energy is palpable. And if you want to do something amazing in your life, if you want to be the best dad, if you want to grow a brand that serves people all over the world, if you want to close all your deals and help people and grow in your business, it's that transfer of energy that's going to do it. And when you walk in the room, do people feel that energy or do they look right past you because they don't feel it? Because you haven't cultivated it. You see, I had the opportunity to spend 5 years cultivating that energy. So when I came home, people felt it. When I speak, they feel it because it's in me, right? I've created it. I've become it. And so the biggest mistake I see people making on social media, in business, is like they try to skip steps. They want to be on level 10. You haven't even mastered level 1 and 2. You don't even have daily routines and habits. You don't even have certainty in who you are. You don't believe in you. How can I believe in you? And so people feel that as soon as you walk in the room. There's this unconscious transfer of energy, right? We do it out of survival. It's body language. We pick up on all these subtle cues unconsciously. So when you walk into a room, you already want to have the room won over because you spent so much time working on yourself that you just cultivate that confidence. Your body language is different. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you move, people feel that, right? You feel that when Mike walks in the room. I felt it the first time I met Mike. Why do you think that is? Mike spent a lot of time working on himself. Mike's mastered this and this. So that's why you guys are here, because you feel that, because he attracted that from you. You know what I mean? So when I came home from prison, I knew I could do anything that I wanted in my life. It doesn't mean I wasn't scared. It doesn't mean there wasn't doubts. It doesn't mean there wasn't challenges. That's a part of life, right? There's always going to be doubt and there's always going to be fear. Every new level you hit, you're going to have that moment where it takes your breath away. You're like, can I do this? Fuck, can I do this? Late at night, your mind might be racing. Those doubts might be strong. You have to learn to kill that doubt and fear through positive action every day. That's why the routines are so important, because you're consistently sending a message to your subconscious mind that I can, I will, I am. I can, I will, I am. You're undeniable. That's why I created my brand Unstoppable, because the man who refuses to quit cannot be stopped. It's that simple. And so I just started telling my story online when I came home, and it started to get attention, right? But initially, I was just working as a personal trainer. I had an opportunity to work as a personal trainer, and I took it. And so I was working in the gyms. I was making no money, you guys. I was making like $1,700 a month. I had my now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. She was pregnant. Now I'm taking care of Mason, who's my stepson. I have a family, and I'm not really making money, but I'm pursuing my vision. Like, I know that I just can't quit. I got to keep moving forward. And I finally left the gym I was working out of, and I started my own fitness company. And then COVID shut the gyms down completely. So literally overnight, I lost all my clients, all my revenue. By that point, I was making a little more money. I started my own fitness business, so I was making like 5 to 8K a month. It was just barely getting us by. I live in Santa Barbara. Things ain't cheap. If you're from Cali, And so in that moment, I remember I was just so stressed one morning. My bank account was depleted. I had my daughter Scarlett was a newborn. Mason's like in the other room on Zoom for school. We're locked down, COVID. We just found out my wife's pregnant again. When we got together, you know what I told her? I said, baby, you're never going to have to work. I'm going to take care of you. I got this. You're never going to go back to work. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you and our children. I got this. And here I was, just about this close to failing. Like $1,300 in my bank account, just stressed out, going, what am I going to do, man? I told her I got this. Like, I told my family I was going to take care of them. I'm the man. I just went through 5 years in prison. Like, this isn't the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to work out easier. It was supposed to be, better than this. And in that moment, man, I just said, fuck plan B. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to beg for a job. I'm not working a 9 to 5. I can make this work, And so that's when I really just started building my online brand. I took everything I was doing in person and built online courses. And during COVID, I just was relentless online in my Facebook group, Facebook Lives every day, on Instagram, just every day sharing my story, being vulnerable, telling people about what I went through, telling people about how I was able to overcome depression, addiction. I was just an open book to the world, man. And guess what was happening at that time? A lot of people were struggling. A lot of people were fucked up right here. A lot of people were relapsing. A lot of people needed help. They needed a sign of hope. And so during that time, I was able to scale my business, and from that moment forward, I like 2, 3, 4x my business in the first couple months, and I never looked back. Right. And so I learned so much through that time, man, because this journey is not easy, you guys. The journey of entrepreneurship, it's tough. You're gonna have those moments where the doubt, the fear, the financial stress, a bad month, a bad couple of months, like, you got to keep fucking going. And I use this term, the power of persistence means once you come into the realization of what you're here to do, that calling in your heart, that person you want to be, you can never look back. And I promise you, if you just push through it and you just give yourself another day, another week, like, you just keep learning, you keep growing, you put yourself around the right people, you're going to get to a point one day where you can look back and you're like, damn, I'm so glad I didn't quit, because you're going to be tested. In the book, The Alchemist, I don't know if you guys have read it, but it basically says the universe is going to unveil your purpose at some point on this journey, right? Just like for me, my purpose was unveiled, but the universe is going to test you every step of the way to see if you're worthy. You're going to be tested, but those tests aren't bad things. They're put in your path for a reason. They sharpen you. They help you to develop yourself in ways you otherwise wouldn't. So next time you're being tested in a relationship, in your business, with your money, whatever it is, ask yourself, how can I actually leverage this experience? How can this set of circumstances serve me? Like, what can I learn? How can I grow through this? And if you talk to yourself that way, I promise you, those occurrences are going to actually sharpen you and help you more so than hold you back. And so that's what I've learned, man, through this journey. That was like 3 years ago during COVID, right? And since then, I've just continued on this path of personal growth, personal development, getting in the right rooms, being ready, like preparation for the opportunities. Like, when you show up into a room, you better be ready to capitalize on the people in that room. And make sure that you're always putting yourself in the rooms with people who are further ahead than you, people who you can learn from, people who have bigger, better results than you, from you. And just surround yourself with those people. And those relationships, for me personally, have been so key to my continued growth. And so I know we're going to do a little Q&A here, Mike. I don't know if you want me to keep sharing or if anybody has questions, but I'm an open book, you guys. You can ask me anything, maybe something I missed or something you might want to know.
Yo, Sean, I don't know if you saw me in the back. I just want to tell you, I love you, dude. Everybody,
love you too, brother.
This guy right here, there's very few people that can motivate me. I'm just telling you, I've done it. I've done 12 hours of personal development for the last 10 years. This is a guy that inspires me, that motivates me, that I can hear his voice. Get your ass up and keep going. I met Sean in Santa Barbara, Bobby. You were there. And he's like, we're going to work out tomorrow. I'm like, cool, bet. What are we doing? We're doing cardio. Man, get out of here, man. That's too easy, man. This dude had me ran my first half marathon ever. Like, I'm 39. I ain't run no marathon ever or a half marathon. And I was telling you, he was like, Mike, what's the biggest thing you gained out of all this? I said, man, don't repeat this. Don't say nothing because my reputation's on the line. I was like, bro, about 10 miles in, bro, I was like, I wanted to do that Q word. I wanted to quit. And I haven't thought about quitting in 14, 15 years. And Sean's seen it. He got me. He's like, let's go. Keep going. I'm going to be here with you. And it was fucking amazing. This is a guy that I actually just started working with this week to get me right physically, mentally. And I love him like a brother. In a very short time, we just clicked like this and connected. I was introduced to my other brother, Bobby. Bobby, thank you for putting this together. And like, here's an opportunity right now, y'all, to talk to a cat that's actually very elite, very high think, very high create, blazing freaking stages, very generous with his time, and ask freaking questions. Sean, I love you, man. I just want to say that publicly, and thank you.
Love you too, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Okay, Bobby, I'm gonna get back to you, man.
Appreciate you, Mike. Yeah, so one thing I just wanted to point out right before we take a question was, we talk about taking ultimate responsibility for your life. And when you were talking about, going through, prison and things like that. But the biggest shift for you was, man, you decided, man, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. I'm gonna take responsibility, and you actually changed your life from the get-go. So that was awesome. So just wanted to point that out. But
Let me touch on that real quick, Bobby. So
yeah,
the first step, man, for a lot of us is like acceptance of the things in the past that we can't change. Like I was holding on to anger and resentment towards my parents for 10 years. So I just continued with that same behavior. I got to a point where I was like, man, I'm sick of being angry. I'm sick of just feeling like a victim. Like I want to let go of that stuff, you know, and it kind of happened organically. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you look in the mirror and you're not proud of who you see, you have to know that, like, man, you're in control and it's on you. Take ownership of your life. Like, this is your life. No one else should dictate how you live. No one else is really going to affect you unless you let them. So that's the first step, man. And here's this. Check this out. I created a personal development program, my first program. Guess where I got the information? Not in some book. I'm not NLP. I didn't go get certified by Tony Robbins. I thought about the changes I made in prison that helped me to take control over my life. And I turned those into the pillars of my coaching program. So when someone signs up with me and they want to learn about mindset, we take them through acceptance. That's the first step. Then we help them to cultivate the ultimate vision. Then we help them to find that burning desire, that why within them to create that life. So literally everything I went through during that time is now my intellectual property that helps other people change their life. So for all of you listening, your life experience is going to be the greatest asset you possess, right? Don't think that like you need to like you don't need more. A lot of times you just need to embrace who you are and just get out there and live more, get in the trenches and then share it with people.
That was a bar. That's a bar for sure. So let's get to some questions, because I don't want to lose all these people, man. But Patrick, man, what you got, man?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story in a deep place for me. When I was 20,
Yo, Patrick, you going in and out, man.
my girlfriend of 4.5 years broke up with me. A lot of shit just piled on. I had to give up that career path, and it really hits home, and a lot of that mental aspect and going through and believing in yourself and everything, and having that motivation to kind of, excuse my language, say fuck it, I am better than this. And stop putting so much weight on what other people think of you, and really it's what you're saying really helps me out a lot.
Love it, brother. I know it was a little broken up, but I mean, honestly, you guys, like hindsight's 2020. You hear that term all the time. What does that mean? It means when you get in the future, you look back on times that were tough, times that felt really like devastating, and you can see the silver lining. You take a learning lesson. You don't have to wait until the future, though, to be able to extract those lessons. What I taught you earlier, what I shared earlier, like how can I learn and grow from this situation? What is there here to teach me? Like if you start asking those questions, you can find it in real time, and it'll pull you through that situation much quicker, and you won't feel like a victim. We're all going to be stung. We're all going to face adversity. We're all going to be down and out. Like I get my ass kicked still in life, right? I got 3 kids, coaching program. Like we're not impervious to adversity, but the way you handle those situations is everything. So I'm proud of you, brother. It sounds like that you're doing that, and I keep going, man, because it's going to get better for you if you believe it will.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Tyrone, what you got, man?
Yo, what's up, man? Hey, Sean, I'd like to thank you for being on today, man. A lot of your situation that you've been through in life, I can relate to a whole lot of them. My question to you is that I have been in your situation as far as prison and everything, and coming out and being successful, and you know, having your mind right and doing the right things. But over the years, I guess I would say I got sidetracked or started basically being around the wrong people. And my mindset has changed dramatically. I got back into this course with Mike, and it went back up to a higher level, and then tragedy started happening in my life again, a lot of tragedy. So my mindset kind of went back down because I didn't have the tools to basically, how would you say, fight the things, the thoughts that was going on in my life and the things that I was thinking. And it seemed like right now I'm at a roadblock or like this big ass wall in front of me. And I know you say don't say negative things about yourself, but it's hard for me to understand right now in the position that I'm in. I'm in a position where I can help a lot of other people and generate a lot of income for myself, right? And it's funny because Mike was just speaking about the same thing today about producing. And it seems like he has given me, Mike, when I say he, I'm talking about Mike, has given me a complete blueprint to do whatever I need to do in my life and be successful. And he constantly does it all the time. Like, Tyrone, run the damn play. Tyrone, run the damn play. And the play is right there. And it's like, I can't understand why I can't run the fucking play. And it's so simple. And I can get away from my laptop. I can get away from the paperwork. And I can think about it and see how simple it is. But then when I go to produce, to do it, it's like, what is that thing that's stopping me? It's all this other stuff that gets in the way. And I cannot understand that.
Well, that's really good. You know, I think a lot of times so you're procrastinating on what you know is going to work for you. Is that basically what you're saying?
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't fucking understand it.
Oftentimes we procrastinate because we want to be perfect from the get-go. Like, you want it to go perfectly from the beginning. And usually there's this hidden fear, like, what if I really do commit myself and just really go for it and I fail, or I'm not as good as I thought I would be? Even though you say you know the play, you never run the play. So there's this disconnect in your mind. That's what I've seen. Oftentimes we put so much pressure on ourselves that we think right from the beginning we have to just knock it out of the park. Oftentimes that's not the way it goes. We learn and we get better as we go, but you got to start building that momentum. Momentum is a real thing. Right now, you don't have momentum. It's hard, right, to get it going. But once you get it going, you got to keep it going. So what I'd say to you, man, is like, what's the first step that you need to take, and go into it with the mindset of like, you know, if this doesn't go perfectly, if I'm not the best from the beginning, like, that's okay. I'm going to keep getting better. I'm going to come back day in and day out. I'm going to keep sharpening myself, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to be successful. But like, that's what I know a lot. Like, they say that, you know, perfectionism leads to procrastination. And I've seen that with a lot of people versus the person that's just willing to get in the game and learn as they go. So I hope that helps you.
It does. It did. Thank you.
And here's another thing, you guys. One more thing. I want to share this. This is important. This goes for everyone. It's not about you. Stop making it so personal about your feelings and your ego and your pride. What about your loved ones? What about the people that are watching you? What about the example that you set? Do it for them. I got to a point in my life where I don't want to get up at 4 in the morning, but when I know that people on IG need inspiration, I know that my kids need that uplifted, positive, happy dad. Guess how I create that guy? I get my ass up out of bed and I do the work. And I know when I do that, I overcame those first couple hurdles. And we all heard the term the bitch voice that told me to sleep in, to hit snooze, to take it easy today. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that pushes through that. That's what discipline is. That's what having a vision is. That's what having a purpose is. And so I tell myself all the time, man, it's not about you, Sean. How are you going to show up for your wife and kids? What about all the guys who drank themselves to sleep last night? All the guys on IG who are, you know, looking at feeds, needing inspiration, looking for hope. And I do it for them. And that hack in my mindset, man, that helps me to be so much more productive and focused on the bigger picture.
Okay.
Bars. Thanks, Tyrone. Devin, what you got, man?
Yeah, man. Sean, first of all, I appreciate you. Bobby, I appreciate you. Mike, thank you for following your vision, man, and creating this space for all us to be here. But what I have, Sean, at what point did you make up in your mind that you were going to expect and demand more of yourself? Because I know you mentioned that earlier, and I kind of had to start this morning where I got up at 4:30 and I went out for a walk, and I felt my brain kind of switch, and it was something happened, and it was like, I expect more from myself on a daily basis. And I just want to know, like, at what point did you experience that, or was it a significant?
Yeah, I love that. I think we all need to raise our standards, right? For me, probably about two months into my incarceration. You know, the first 2 months I was like in shock. And then I realized no one was coming to save me, man. And I had to find a way to persevere. And that's when I was having the regrets and that emotional distress about the life I could have lived versus the life I lived. And in that moment, something like you just said shifted in my psyche. And I was like, I'm going to fight. I'm not going to go out like this. I'm going to fight every day, and I'm going to become that exceptional human being that I know God created me to be. And it was that was the start of my journey right there. So yeah, it was 2 months into my incarceration, roughly like 10 years ago, that I made that choice.
Yep. And a two-part, if I could, at right, you say you coach, you train. So did you fully go online, or did you maintain a handful of one-on-one clients when you were making your transition? Because I'm considering making that transition as well to fully online. So how did you manage that?
Yeah, so I was trying to already go online before COVID, but I wasn't all in because I had a little bit of money coming here. I was with clients in the gym all day, so it was hard to fully go online. COVID forced my hand. It took away all those clients, all those hours. I was like, man, I got to produce. So I did still have some like in-person clients. I'd go to their home, or I was doing group training at the park because I needed to make money and they wanted to train. I'm like, man, I got a family. But really quickly online, like I hit my first 10K month. And as a personal trainer, my goal was to just get 10K. I think I got to like 8,500. I could never hit 10K because that's a lot of hours and clients you're training. But online, I hit 10K like the second month. And I was like, oh man. And then from there, like it just went up. So for you want to make it a gradual shift, but you want to lean into that next chapter of life where you want to go. So I'd say, do it as quickly as possible without putting yourself in a situation where you're like screwed. You know what I mean? But sounds like you're doing that.
Awesome. Tyler, what you got, man?
I'm just kind of curious, like when you first started getting into it, I realized I might have missed the part if you were in jail or not at that time. But when you started focusing on the like transitioning or changing, I guess you could say, what did you do with the judgy ass people and like even family? Like I've had to ditch most of my friends because they're stuck in their way. They want to drink, they want to smoke grass, whatever. I don't mind, I don't care, but that's all they want to do. And then everything's negative. How do you just like, they always say you become the 5 people that you spend all your time around. So does that mean I'm going to be a 10-year-old little girl? Because all I hang around with is my kids now, because I'm tired of all the drama that it seems like a lot of people have. You know what I mean? So what do you do with
Yeah. This is
go?
such a good question, because I think the biggest challenge people have is like being judged by others and not wanting to look bad in front of their family or friends. Like we care what people think, right? But check this statistic out. You can Google this. The number one regret people have at the end of their life, like elderly people who they've asked, the number one regret they have is that they lived a life based on other people's expectations, not the life that they wanted. So can you imagine being on your deathbed and realizing you live to appease other people, or you live in fear of judgment of other people, and you never went all in on your dream? Can you imagine that feeling? So you need to recognize that most of the people that we're worried about being judged by, or most of the people that we're worried about their opinion, they won't even think of us a couple of days after we die, right? Our wife, our kids, maybe some close friends. Other than that, no one's going to remember us, right? And that's the sad truth. And so for me, man, I lived my whole life in a very toxic and codependent relationship with my dad and my uncles and all my friends, right? We partied together, we got in trouble together, but we were like, very close. And I realized when I was incarcerated that was such a detriment to who I wanted to be, because I always did things based on what they wanted to do or based on how they viewed me. And I remember being in jail just thinking, this is my time to finally be myself. And so I did that. When I came home, I was very clear, like, hey, like, I can't do that anymore. I set boundaries. I drew that line in the sand. I said, I'm over here now. I'm never going back to that life. I got to keep you guys away from me. I wish you the best and I love you, but this is like, I have to do this. This is like survival for me. So you have to make that choice, I believe, with friends and even family members, and it's hard. And then get in groups like this and listen to the right podcasts and read the right books. You don't have to always have 5 exceptional people in every room you go to forever, but what information are you taking in? What books are you reading? And then get in groups like this. And I know I will never surround myself with somebody who, like, I'll go out there and try to help people. I coach a lot of guys who are struggling. I'm being of service, but you'll never catch me at the bar just shooting the shit or at dinner with some guys that are just doing low level stuff. I want to be up here. I can't do that. I want the best for you guys. I'll help you. I'll coach you, but I'm not going to sit around and talk about the Steeler game and talk about all this nonsense. Like, I'm on a mission and my time is limited. And I know that. So I'm going to live with that intensity every day and that focus.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good stuff, Sean. Hey, do you have a minute for one more question, or?
Yeah, I got plenty of time, man. I got as much time as we need.
Okay. Tom, what you got, man?
You guys can see me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my phone's kind of got a little bit blocked. Sean, yo, what's up? Hit you on Instagram. You're the best, dude. Love your story. You know, it's super inspiring, and you know, your purpose and everything you're doing is really amazing. You know, I was during the beginning of growing my car wash business in 2014. I was homeless over 15 times during the process. You know, living on people's couches. You know, and just having a very difficult time growing that. And the one thing I remember going back into it and thinking, like, what helped me push through that time was just like finding a gym. Like, pretty much the only thing I had was a gym. You know, like I barely even had a phone, but I had the gym, and I would just make sure I'd work out. And that one thing, that one controllable, like really kind of helped me push through that time and get to that next like step. And then also like through that process of like waking up early, you know, being driven to hit the gym and to be able to make that daily progress. Like when you look in the mirror, if you look in the mirror and you see slight improvements even every day, even if you don't have any more money that day, at least you're like, okay, you know, I can see like a little bit more of a six pack, you know, or I see a little bit more of a muscle curl, you know, like whatever it is, you know. And I think that little teeny thing definitely makes a huge difference. And being in prison, you know, like you're like, you essentially literally like looked at the most finite things that you could see inside your daily, and then just was like, all right, you know, like, can I control this? Can I make that improve? And so was it that slight, like that shift right there, but also like, you know, you have a ton of crap in the back of your head that's like constantly eating away at your mindset, you know, throughout the day. So was it over a period of time that when you were doing that, where all of that negativity, all of those, like the spiritual battle that was happening, did it eventually erode after like maybe a year or two, where you just kind of got rid of that mindset?
Yeah, that's really good. So first of all, exercise saved my life. I would do burpees in my cell and I'd get high off my burpees, like endorphins. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels amazing. I feel so good. And so that literally helped me like move away from my addiction to drugs and alcohol and fall in love with fitness and being a better person. Exercise is by far the most powerful habit you guys can form for your mental health, for your spirituality, discipline, willpower, confidence, your physical health. Nothing else even compares. So I love that you shared that. For me, you know, I was so immersed in my daily actions that it really, I had a profound shift very quickly. But what I'll tell you is we have to show up to win that battle every day. If I don't get up tomorrow and do a workout and go through my morning routine and I sleep in, and then let's say I ate some, you know, really unhealthy, hearty food that just bogged me down, and then like I didn't do my routines, I wouldn't feel very good. And it would be very noticeable. I'd probably be more irritable around my kids. I wouldn't have that pop, that energy. So it's a daily thing that we must dedicate our lives to. And I truly believe that. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be these big, massive achievements. Like you said, when I started, I would work out and then I would write letters back home and read. And when I was writing letters back home, I realized that my penmanship and my spelling were horrible. And I started asking my cellmate how to spell every freaking word. And one day he got so sick of me asking him, he threw a dictionary at me, a little pocket dictionary, hit me in the shoulder. So after that, I took it as a personal thing, right? I was like, watch this, watch what I do with this dictionary. And I would be in my cell looking up words in my little pocket dictionary every day. I kept a list of all those words that I didn't know the meaning of or how to spell. And I would study them every single day. And I started memorizing them. This is how I improved my memory, my speed of thought, and eventually my intellect, you know. And I became a best-selling author because I picked up that pocket dictionary. I speak on stages now because I was able to articulate myself because of the words and because of that practice and because of that repetition. So you start with the small things and over time they expand. But I mean, how funny is that? I want you guys to picture this. Here I am in a jail cell with a little pocket dictionary, literally keeping a vocab list like a little kid in school. And I was so proud of myself for that, man, because for the longest time I neglected my studies and I thought that I wasn't smart. And it was this limiting belief. I just hadn't applied myself. So when I started doing that, I started seeing in real time how I can improve and change myself. It showed me that we have no limitations. We have no barriers to our greatest potential. It's just how hard are we willing to work, and what are we going to do each and every day to improve that facet of our lives?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, it's epic. Thank you.
Man, fine.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Tyler, what you got, man?
Awesome. Hey, Sean, I just want to say thank you for sharing your experience with us. It's very insightful, and I got a lot to learn from you. My question really pertains to that momentum you were talking about earlier. So when I get momentum, I feel like it goes up and then down, and I just was wondering like what you do, what tools you have in the tool belt to like really keep that momentum going, just on the day to day.
Yeah, obviously, I think it depends on your goals, right? If you're like, let's say you're talking about making money online, like, so there's a certain amount of DMs, outbound messages, content that you need to create to keep that momentum going to achieve that goal. So for me, I'm very clear on where I'm going and what my goals are. So the way I keep my momentum alive is I get up early every day, I work out, I do a certain amount of stuff on social media, and like those things right there keep my momentum going. Some days like today, let's say I work out twice, I do the cold plunge, the sauna, put out some stuff on social media, did a couple interviews on Instagram Live. Today was a more compact day. But if I'm traveling or if it's the weekend, all I need to do is get up in the morning and do a workout and get my headspace, my mind clear, get that energy going, that, that internal state, that frequency high. And then that's all I need that day. But I don't miss a day. Like I don't miss. I have clear routines and habits that I adhere to every day. And that's what keeps the momentum going. So some days you're going to be able to do a lot more and it's going to be required of you. But on the days where you don't have to do a lot more, just make sure you do, like, I don't want to use the word bare minimum because that sounds like a negative term, but make sure you do just enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So
here's the thing. Don't miss a day. Like, you guys, too many people just miss days. A long time ago, I made a couple of commitments. I said, I'm going to work out every single day, no matter what. I just work out every day. I don't like, I made these promises to myself and these commitments that just keep that momentum going. Like getting up early, working out, certain things that I just do, posting on social media. I never miss my content. So stuff like that is what keeps your momentum going.
Okay. I love that. Thank you.
Love that, Sean. Just consistent daily wins, is what that boils down to, right? And stacking up those wins and really just tallying them up. So, guys, I want y'all to give a round of applause for Sean. Thank you so much for coming on. I want everybody here to go follow Sean, right? If you want to know where he's at, he's on Instagram at Sean Michael Crane. You can find him there.
Sean M. Crane on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Sean M. Crane now, right?
Yeah, one of my people changed it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So Sean M. Crane on Instagram. You can follow him on Facebook. Make sure you hit up his podcast, Unstoppable Mindset, and really get in that, man. You can find him kind of all over the place, but y'all heard Mike say it, and you heard me say it, man. He's one of the best of the best, man, and he keeps everybody right. So Sean, again, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for giving everybody the gems, the fire. Any last words from you?
Man, I mean, I appreciate all of you. Appreciate you, Bobby. Appreciate you, Mike. I mean, it's, it comes down to like, I just know what it's like to suffer with so much pain and regret. And I don't want anyone to feel that. And I tell you guys, man, if you start really just going above and beyond in your life, like, is it Skylar? Skylar was asking about momentum. Never let the momentum die. Show up every day and just give your best effort. Learn something new, apply yourself, get to the gym, take care of your health, and like pour yourself into this life, because it's going to come to an end. There's going to come a time where, you don't have the same people around. You're getting older. Your life's coming to an end. I think a lot of people don't really think they're going to die. So while you're here, make an impact, go above and beyond, inspire people around you. Find out who you could really become if you just go all in. Like, I know you all have this version of yourself you want to be. You have this feeling inside of you. That's why you're here. And you're capable. You're all capable. I'm no different than you. I've just dedicated myself to the process. I'm in it for life. I thought I was doing life in prison. Now I'm doing life out here and I'm all in. And I want to see the same from you guys. If you need anything from me, reach out to me, shoot me a DM on IG. I'll post content every day. I want to just see you guys thriving. and making an impact in your world. All right. Love all of you. I appreciate you for letting me be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Guys, it was a pleasure. The day has come to an end. So guys, until next Wednesday, we'll see you at the top.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yo, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.